their karbonis to dedicate the Mishkan. And this week's parsha starts by Los Chasaneros that there's a mitzvah for Aaron Cohen to light the menorah. So he says, Rashi, Kishira Aaron HaChanukas Anisiyim, when Aaron Cohen saw the Chalukas Anisiyim, when he saw the Nisiyim bringing all the karbonis, Chol Shadaito, he became faint. Shaloya Yimahim. He wasn't in the delegation. Lo hu v'lo shifta. Not him and not the whole Shevet, not anybody in Levi. Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu Chayecha, by your life, Shalcha G'dol Mishalhem. The Jewish portion is greater than their portion. Shata Madlik Ometiv Zaneris. Because you're going to do it. You're going to take care of the menorah morning and evening. Just a quick aside. My mother was lifted the terrace on Baris Baloscha. And remember when he was the Menahel of the Yeshiva, the Mavach Yeshiva Montreal, was very close to him for many years. He came to Menachem Ovel. So he said a cute word. He says the Hasidim say the Chalish Zadas wasn't when Hashem says Gidol Shalcham Mishlachem, your portion is greater than the portion. When Hashem was saying to Aaron, your Chalish Zadas, the fact that it bothered you so much, that's what's important to me. The fact that it bothered you. It's not the Push Pshat, but he said it's Kid Pshat. He said that my mother was like that. She didn't know too much, but bothered her that she didn't do more. She didn't more. Just an aside. So anyway, Rashi says that the reason the two parshas are together because Aaron Cohen was upset that he wasn't involved in Chanukas Mizbeach, and the Nisim were involved. Hashem says your portion is much greater. You can take care of them in our morning and evening. So famous Ramban. It's a kasha. It says Lomis Barley Lama Nochmu B'Hadlakas Aneris. Why was the consolation for Aaron Cohen lighting the candles? The Ketaris is a much greater thing. The Ketaris is the greatest of the karbonis, right? Shishim Chabal Kasuv, right? That the pasuk praises, right? And the truth is, the menorah could be lit by a non-Kohen. If you had a long stick and get into the Mishkan, into the base of Mikdash, you could have lit the menorah also. It's not dafki din in the Kohen. Kohen can't go into a non-Kohen can't go into the base of Mikdash, but if you had a long stick and a Zor could light it. So it doesn't say that. Kol karbonis. What about all the karbonis that Aaron brought? Umincha chavitim. What about all Yom Kippur, where he's nichnas b'kodesh kodeshim, b'nichnas lifnayim lifnim, right? So why wasn't that enough of v'matam chalisha zadas? So why was he so upset? Right? V'alo karbono gadol mishal levisim, and he brought more karbonis than the Nisim. Sheikah v'yom imayil, and he brought karbonis before he started working. Right? He spent the 7 days of Miluim before Rosh Chodesh, before it was dedicated. There were 7 days of preparation. The only Aaron brought karbonos. Okay. If this Haggadah is telling you a different thing, says the Marsha, says the Ramban, telling you a remes, a secret. I mean, a parsha al Chanukas and Neiros. It's not about a Chanukas and Mizbeach of Neiros. Shehoisav by Sheni. It happened many years later. Over 1,000 years later, 1,500 years later, in Bayesheni, Al Yidei Aaron Abanav, it happened through Aaron and his sons. Ritzoni Lomer, what I mean to say is Chashmonoyim, the Chashmonoyim, Kohen Gadol, it's Kohen Gadol Banov, right? But Matisyahu and his sons. B'Lashon Hazeh Motzati b'Megillah Starim, Rabbeinu Nisim. I found this Lashon in Shehiskra Agudazu. He brings this same Chazal. So Aaron sees the 12 tribes brought, and Levi didn't bring. Aaron, tell Aaron, there'll be another Chanukos of Mizbeach. There'll be lighting of the candles. And I will make it for you, for my children, through your children. And it'll be a salvation and a Chanukah by their name. It's a Chanukah of B'nai Chashmonaim, the Chanukah that we have. And that's why these two parshas are together. And it goes on to say that the Mizbeach is not here, we still do Chanukah, so it's a much more of a connection. So I always had a kasha in this Ramban. Why was that an appeasement for Aaron? Aaron He wasn't in the dedication. So you're right. There'll be another Hanukkah. It'll be in. So, but it's going to be 1,500 years later, and he missed his dedication. So I think the pshat might be that what's the whole purpose of the Mishkan? Dedication of the Mishkan. The Mishkan brings the Shekhinah to Klal Yisrael. It brings the Shekhinah. The Shekhinah is going to rest with Klal Yisrael. Hashem says, "V'shachanti b'sochem." I'll dwell among you. There's a Mishkan. Aaron was upset. He was faint because I wasn't involved in bringing the Mishkan. I'll be serving in the Mishkan, but I wasn't involved in bringing the Shekhinah. So Hashem says, no, there'll be a time when the Ramban's Lashon happens to be in Parshat Vayechi, that Torah would have been forgotten from Klal Yisrael. It would have been no Shekhinah in Klal Yisrael, were not for the Cheshbonoyim. The Torah would have been forgotten from Klal Yisrael. And you're gonna not only bring the Shekhinah in the Mishkan, you're gonna bring the Shekhinah for all Klal Yisrael. So you see a very important point. You see that the real dedication has to be to bring the Shekhinah, make sure Klal Yisrael knows the Torah, and it's a responsibility of each one of us. Each one of us is thinking, what am I doing to make sure that the Torah is not forgotten in Klal Yisrael? It means I have to be connected, I have to learn, I have to do it, I have to make sure everybody else does it. Whatever I can do, however I can influence anybody, to make sure that everybody's involved. I mean. And I always say over from the story of Rav Schwab and the Chofetz Chaim, which is so true. That the story, and I must have told you this 10 times already, but I'll tell you again. That Rav Schwab, who became the Rav in the German community in Washington Heights, was he happened to be a German Jew who went to learn in the Mir Yeshiva. And at one point he gets to see the Chofetz Chaim, and the Chofetz Chaim asked him, "Why are you Cohen?" He said, "No." He said, "Why not?" "Are you a Levi?" He said, "No." He said, "Why not?" My father wasn't a Cohen. My father wasn't a Levi. Why wasn't he a Levi? His father wasn't. So that's not what I'm getting at. He says, "You know why I'm a Cohen? Because many years ago, in the Ma'aseh Egel, Moshe Rabbeinu said, 'Mi Lashem Elai,' who's for Hashem, follow me. And Shevet Levi followed him, and no one else followed him. And Chofetz Chaim said, today, Hashem is saying the same thing. Mi Lashem Elai. Who is for Hashem, follow me. When is he saying it? Anybody who's connected to the yeshivas, the yeshiva world. Anybody connected to the yeshiva world, you're following Hashem. And if you're not connected, then you're not following. And that was the consolation for Aaron. I'm going to keep the Shekhinah by making sure everybody stays connected. It's a very important thing. Very, very important thing. I always say, in Sefer Bamidbar, if the Rebbeinu Shalom didn't write it, some anti-Semite wrote it, if you noticed. This parsha, there was upside down nuns. You know that? And the Rashi brings, but Chazal say, why are they upside down nuns? To separate from Peronios to Peronios. Because before the upside down nun, they're going to leave Har Sinai. And they left Har Sinai, Ketinok HaBarech MiBeit Sefer. Think about this before you leave yeshiva. Like a child running out of school. The bell rings, he's running out of school. They were at Har Sinai for a year and a half. And they're getting a little nervous. Chazal say, they're getting a little nervous. There's so much ready to do. We stay here any longer, there'll be more to do. Let's get out of here. That was the first Peronius. That was the first bad thing. And after the second one, there was another Peronius. It doesn't say what they did. Right? They didn't say what they did. They were misonym. It doesn't say what they did. Misonym. Misonym Ra. They complained. We don't know what they complained about. They complained. Misonym Ra. Right after that, the next thing, and there was a makkah, there was a fire, and Moshe Rabbeinu helped him. And then the Yafsufsuf, another thing, Bikirbo Misavu Taiva. So there was another thing happened. There was Savu Taiva, they had Taiva. The Yeshuva Yivku, and they cried, and they say, says, remember we ate fish in Mitzrayim free. Rashi said, what free? What are we free? Free from the mitzvahs, right? And then it says, and it goes through Pesach, but it says, all we have is this dried up mun. That's all we have to eat. Complaining about the mun. Another complaint. It happens to be next week's parsha. It gets worse. The Meraglin. The week after that, it's Korach. So it's pretty bad about Midbar, but a lot of bad stories about Klal Yisrael. But you know what? We're still here. So even though we mess up, we're still here. So this is an interesting thing. They complained about the mun. So Rav Al says that the mun was a delicious food. It tasted anything he wanted to be like. It was a good food. So what were they complaining about? But he says they weren't so far off, because there's a pasuk in Parshas Eikev, and it says, "V'yancha v'yarvecha v'yichlu esamon." I oppressed you and I starved you and I gave you the money. Right? Asher lo yadatem v'yidun avosecha. You didn't know what that was, and your forefathers didn't know. So he says, "Astira, is the one good or not? One not good?" That's his kash. So he says, I'll give you an introduction to an answer. He says there's a Mishnah, it's Alocha, it's Ran Pirkei Avos, Kachi Darko Shel Torah. This is the way to acquire Torah. Right? Kachi Darko Shel Torah. Pas b'melech tokal. You eat bread and salt. Mayim Mesura Tishta. You drink water by measure. Al Arts Tisha, and you sleep on the floor. B'chai Tzar Tichya, and live a life of tsar, of tsar. The Torah atamel, you will involve yourself in Torah. You might also can, if you do this, interesting at the end of the Mishnah, Ashrecha v'tovlach. You'll be happy and it'll be good for you. Ashrecha b'olam hazeh, you'll be happy in this world, and tovlach l'olam haba. It'll be good for you in the next world. So he has an interesting mushroom. He says, imagine the king is building a road to his palace. How would he build a road? He build a road, straight road, paved well, nice things, beautiful flowers on the sides. But when you make a road full of rocks, full of thorns, you will never do that. Right? So what does it mean, Kachi Darko Shel Torah? This is the way of Torah. He says, Torah is our life. Torah is our purpose of Tachlis L'chaim. So why is Darko Shel Torah to eat bread and salt and to sleep on the floor? It should be derech, the Shem's derech should be beautiful, right? So he says, there's much more here than we understand. He says, brings a famous Chazal, Barasi Torah, Barasi Yetzirah, Barasi Torah Tafel. So the usual translation, they say, Hashem says, I created Yetzirah, and I created the Torah as the antidote to the Torah. But Tafel doesn't mean that. Tafel means spice. Spice. What does spice do? Spices up what you're eating, right? That was the Tafel. He says if we do the Torah right, these things don't matter. In other words, he says it doesn't really mean you have to eat bread and salt and sleep on the floor. But even that's what he says. Even if that's what you have to eat, that you have nothing else to eat but bread and salt and water by measure, and you sleep on the floor. If you're involved with Torah, you're ashrecha, you're happy. He says that the problem is people run after pleasures, and he says the pleasures are never real. And anybody who runs after pleasure never has enough pleasure. And he goes into different things. He says, a lot of people, he tells a story over here that he once was raising money. And he went to this very rich guy's house. And outside the door of this guy's house, people that he owed a lot of money. He owed a tremendous amount of money. He finally gets in, and the guy says, I have no life. I ran out of money. People are knocking my door day and night. I have no life. They're pressing me. All I do is I drink wine. That's all I can do. So drink wine, what does that do for you? He says, I forget about my problems. He says, that's what happens. You have a lot of things, you have a lot of hana, and you run to wine, and you don't really enjoy anything. If all you want is physical pleasure, you'll never have enough physical pleasure. There'll always be something you don't have. You always want more. And people want the alcohol, they run to drugs, and they want to run away from their whole life. They don't want to be involved with their life. He says, the Torah is a tablet. But he says there's a condition. Omel. You know what Omel means? Toil. So if you toil in Torah, it makes a difference. But it means really working hard. It's not just sitting back in your lazy chair and reading a Reader's Digest of Torah. You're really working hard, cracking your brains out. And he says if you do that, then it really means something. And then you'll really find your happiness. And he says that he can't explain this to anybody. He says, imagine trying to explain to somebody the taste of wine. Wine connoisseur. And he takes all kinds of wines. You never tasted wine in your life. And he's trying to taste the beauty of wine. He says, different parts of your tongue, and this part of your tongue will taste the sweetness, and this part of your tongue will take the sharpness and the bitterness. And you're trying to listen to the shir about wine, and you have no idea what it is. He says, if the wine connoisseur would take out a cup of wine and have you taste it, you'd better relate what he says. He says, you can't relate to what Amelos B'Torah is until you Amel, until you really work hard. Until you work hard, you don't appreciate what it is. It's too hard, it's too much. Once you really involve yourself in doing it, it's a whole different world. He says, he brings a Chazal, he says, Chazal tell us, Ein Torah Niknus, and he says, this is the problem that people had, by the way. The problem that people had in the Midbar wasn't everybody. Ramban says a lot of times that the Torah, different expressions, there was always a different group. Not everybody complained about the man. There's Yasafsuf, where the people who gathered there, made an Erev Rav, they complained about the man. People spread to complain. He says, why do they complain about the man? He says a Gavaldic thing. He says, Lo nitna Torah ela la'ochlei haman, Chazal tell us. The Torah was only given to those who ate man. Because most people explain that to say that because you weren't involved in working, you had no Pranos was automatic. That's why. He says, I have a different shot. So you know what it means? Lo nitna la'ochlei haman. It means you didn't know when you woke up in the morning if you had food that day. Didn't know if you had food that day. The man came down. In fact, Chazal tell us that the more bitachon a person had, the more he felt comfortable that he was going to get man from Hashem, and he found it closer to his door. And the less a person had bitachon in Hashem, he had to walk a little further. So the Torah was only given to those people, the people who realized the total trust in Rebbeinu Shalom. And that's the condition we have to have. We have to learn Torah. We have to be amal in Torah. And we have to be ready to trust the Rebbeinu Shalom that He's going to take care of us. He's going to take care of us. Spend the whole year together. What do we accomplish? Hard question. But I think there's two things that we just saw here that may make a difference. One is that what can I do? What can I personally do to maintain that the Shekhinah stays? What can I do to make sure the Shekhinah stays in Israel? And the only way it's going to stay is by my connection to Torah and making sure everybody else has a connection to Torah. So as we plan my life, I'm going to leave yeshiva, and some people are going to stay in yeshiva, and some people are going to leave yeshiva. And I always say, whatever effect the yeshiva had on you, as good as you might have become, the effect lasts for a couple of days. If you're really a good guy, it lasts for a couple of weeks. It doesn't last that long. It doesn't last that long. One of the guys just told me a little before, but a friend of theirs that was in a different yeshiva, I won't say which one, and he went back to the States, and he went to college. He got involved in his fraternities, and he got involved in college, and he took off his keeping. That's what happens. Some people take a little less time, a little more time. If you're not involved in learning Torah, not involved in yeshiva, the chance of maintaining anything you got is going to be very hard. And you know what I always say? If you didn't do it right over here, it's only going to be harder someplace else. Because here, you roll out of bed, you come to davening. There's always Rebbeinu want to learn with you. It's the easiest time of your life. Once you leave, it's never getting easier. So one of the things you got to think about is, okay, now I'm leaving for this year. What can I do to maintain myself? What can I do to maintain myself? The second thing we have to realize, the Torah is, my life is guaranteed to be happy. Ashrecha v'tovlach. Guaranteed. That's only if you're going to be Omer in Torah. So in other words, what is my commitment to Amelas B'Torah? To really working on it. Did I work? Any of us? I'm asking myself. Did any of us really say that I really worked? I really tried to understand it. I really worked on myself to figure it out. The mitzvah always said, the mitzvah Torah Shabbat Peh, it's Havana. Did I really try to clearly understand something? Did I really push myself? And I want to tell you something. You didn't do it here. You're not going to do it when you're not here. It's never going to get easier. Next week, next Thursday, you'll be on your own. What level can you maintain if you're on your own? What can you do if you're on your own? Not easy. Not easy at all. Those of you will be Zocha. Those who will be Zocha will continue learning yeshiva. And it's a nebuch, as Rav Gamliel said, it's a nebuch. If you're not Zocha to learn Torah, it's a nebuch to leave there. It's a stroll, it's also a nebuch. But it's much more of a nebuch not to learn Torah. Just sum up what I think that you have to do if you want to maintain a little bit. No matter what, you're gonna have a break, a two-month break. So it's like a 2-month break, and so you want to maintain. So if I want to maintain something that I got, what can I do to maintain it? Gamil, when we were there, we spoke about davening with a minyan. So how it's the miklat, how it's the shelter from all kinds of problems. It's a shelter. But more than that, not more than that, but in addition to that, if we make sure when I leave the yeshiva, I'm connected to Tefillah B'Tzibur, it maintains myself on a certain level. I'm connected to the Rebbeinu Shalom in a real way 3 times a day. But I have to do it. And the truth is, and it's obvious, that in Yerushalayim, in Ramat Polin, the Avei Tefillah B'Tzibur is much less of a problem. Right? In yeshiva, you roll out of bed, you have a minyan. And even if you miss a minyan here, you roll down the block and you have another minyan. And I think that within half a mile of the yeshiva, probably have more than 100 minyanim, more than half a mile around here, maybe even less, more than 100 minyanim. So there's never a reason to miss a minyan. When you go back, some other place, it might be a little more difficult. But you got to decide. It's important. It's an important thing. I'm going to do it. If I do it, if I decide, it's another thing Rav Gamliel said that was very important. These things only happen when you're machlit, when you decide. To decide. Each one of us has to decide. And I know for sure that's what happened in my life. And I mean, it says that's what you have to do. You decide this is important to me. Learning is important to me. Tefillah B'Tzibur is an important thing to me. It's important. I decided. I want to keep it. So one thing we should do over the Bein Hazmanim is to ensure that I do Tefillah B'Tzibur. And if you're not in Yerushalayim, it's going to be much harder. Okay, but nonetheless, even if it's harder, I'm ready to push myself that much extra. The other thing that we have to do to maintain ourselves, of course, is Limud HaTorah. Nobody's going to learn 3 Siddurim if you're not in yeshiva. And I say, you know what? Learn an hour a day. And you don't even have to learn 1 hour, one shot. Learn 50 minutes a day, 4 times a day. But learn an hour a day. If you can find a chavrusa, learn an hour a day with, that's wonderful. If not, learn myself 50 minutes. Learn 50 minutes Mishnayos, 50 minutes Chumash, whatever I can do. 50 minutes 4 times a day, not so much. Because if you're not connected to Limud HaTorah, you lose everything. Came to Eretz Yisrael, came to Yeshiva, spent 10 months here. I feel that if you walk away the same as you walked in, we were, as a yeshiva, a total failure. And I blame the yeshiva, blame myself. But you're also a failure. If you walk away the same as you walked in. The yeshiva didn't have an effect on you, but something was wrong. Nonetheless, we're talking about the end of the year, so therefore what can I do? What I can do is make sure that at least the last few days are important. The last few days. Let me try for the last few days. You're right, I didn't try too much all year. But you know what? It's another week. Let me try for the other week. Anyone who really was Amil in Torah, really tried, realized, you know what, this really means something. This is really happiness. All the other things that you think will bring happiness won't bring happiness. And if you're this kind of person that described over here, somebody's Amil B'Torah, you'll have a real marriage. And you'll have a real connection to your kids. But if you're not that person, you may miss both things. And it's all in your hands. I think I told you the story that I saw about this yeshiva bacher had got into trouble with the yeshiva, with his family, and he ran away to a kibbutz in the north. And as he told me, he goes to the kibbutz and he meets the woman in charge, the secretary. He wants to join the kibbutz. So she says, "You look like you're a dati. You came from a religious background." He says, "Oh yeah, I was. Now I want to be in kibbutz. It didn't work out." So she says, "You remind me of myself." She says, "I was from Meir Sharm, and I got tired of the Meir Sharm life. So I ran into a kibbutz. And I thought it would bring me happiness. I look at my sister's children and her grandchildren. They all come to see her. They all with her. They spend together. They spend Shabbosim together. I hardly ever see my kids. 2 of them moved away to the States. 1 of them is hanging out in Thailand. I never even met some of my grandchildren. I missed it. So why should you run away? Learn how to deal with it. And he went back. And we didn't go that far yet, but realize that my connection to Torah is the future. And Rav Gamliel said it also.